Hello everyone. Today I, Dr. Chirag Patel, going to be discuss about different hemodynamic parameter of cardiovascular system. It is need to be learn hemodynamic parameter before go further details about pathophysiology of cardiovascular system disorder and treatment of cardiovascular system disorder. The important hemodynamic parameter include in these are blood pressure, cardiac output, blood volume, vascular resistance, heart rate, stroke volume, preload, afterload and contractility. We will also learn how these parameters interlink with each other as well as their clinical significance. So let's start with the first blood pressure. So, what is the blood pressure? Blood pressure is the pressure exerted by blood on the wall of blood vessels. Blood pressure written as two numbers such as 120 by 80. 120, the upper number is the systolic number and the lower number is the diastolic number. So, that what is the systolic blood pressure and what is the diastolic blood pressure? Let's understand with the help of this image. The first is the systolic blood pressure. So systolic blood pressure is the highest pressure. The systolic blood pressure is the highest pressure exerted by blood on the wall of artery during the ventricular contraction, where in case of the diastolic blood pressure, the lowest pressure exerted by blood on the wall of blood vessel during ventricular diastole, means ventricular relaxation. The important term for blood pressure is the mean arterial pressure. So what is mean arterial pressure? Mean arterial pressure is defined as the average blood pressure in arteries. It is considered as the better indicator of perfusion to vital organ than systolic blood pressure. True mean arterial pressure can only determined by invasive monitoring with the complex calculation. However, it can also be calculated using formula of systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure. For mean arterial pressure, first calculate the difference between the systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure and divide that by 3 and then add the diastolic blood pressure. There are several clinical situations in which it is especially important to monitor mean arterial pressure. In the patient with the sepsis, vasopressor drug is used in the treatment of sepsis. So, the dose of vasopressor drug is titrated based on the mean arterial pressure, and it is recommended that the mean arterial pressure be maintained greater than 65 mmHg. Also, in patient with the head injury or stroke, treatment may be depend on the patient mean arterial pressure. So the next is the factor which alter the blood pressure, or we can say the factor which determine the blood pressure. So blood pressure is determined by three factors. First one is the blood volume, second one is the vascular resistance, and third one is the cardiac output. Let first start with the blood volume. Blood volume refers to total amount of blood circulating within the cardiovascular system at any time. Blood pressure depends on the total volume of blood in the cardiovascular system. Let's understand with the help of example. Let's consider two arteries with the same diameter. In the first artery, less volume of blood flow, whereas in the second artery, more amount of blood flow as compared to the first one. So, as high volume of blood in the second artery, it exerts higher pressure on the wall of blood vessels. The normal volume of blood in the adult is about 5 liters. Any decrease in this volume, as from hemorrhage, decrease the total amount of blood that is circulated through arteries each minute. A modest decrease can be compensated, but if decrease in blood volume is greater than 10% of total body weight, then blood pressure drop. Anything that increases the blood volume, such as water retention in the body, tends to increase the blood pressure. So the second factor which alter the blood pressure or which affect the blood pressure is the vascular resistance. So what is the vascular resistance? Vascular resistance is the opposition to blood flow due to friction between blood and wall of blood vessel. In other terms, vascular resistance is the ability of blood vessel to oppose the blood flow. Blood pressure is directly proportional to the vascular resistance. Vascular resistance depend onto the three factor. First one is size of blood vessel lumen. Second one is the blood viscosity, and the third one is total blood vessel length. Vascular resistance is directly proportional to the blood viscosity and total blood vessel length, where in case of size of blood vessel lumen, vascular resistance is inversely proportional. Let's start one by one how it alter vascular resistance. Let's understand the relationship between the vascular resistance and size of lumen with the help of example. Let's consider two arteries with the different diameter, or we can say the size of lumen. The first have widened lumen and the second have narrow lumen. Now consider same amount of blood flow through these arteries. So, in which artery the greater resistance for blood flow? In the first artery, the diameter is high. It offers the lesser resistance for blood flow. Where in case of the second artery, the diameter is smaller as compared to the first one. So, it offers the greater resistance for blood flow. So, we can say that resistance is inversely proportional to the diameter of blood vessels. So normally vasoconstriction narrow the lumen and vasodilation widen the lumen. So as arterioles dilate, resistance decrease and pressure fall. And arterioles constrict, resistance increase and blood pressure increase. So we can say that vascular resistance is inversely proportional with the size of lumen. So in general, vasoconstriction increase the vascular resistance and which result in increased blood pressure, where in case of the vasodilation decrease the vascular resistance and result in decreased blood pressure. Next, and the second is the blood viscosity. So the viscosity of blood depend mostly on ratio of red blood cell to plasma volume, and to smaller extent on the concentration of protein in the plasma. The higher the blood viscosity, the higher the resistance. Any condition that increase the viscosity of blood such as dehydration or polycythemia thus increase the vascular resistance and ultimately increase the blood pressure. A depletion of plasma protein or red blood cell due to the anemia or hemorrhage decrease the viscosity and thus decrease vascular resistance and result in decreased blood pressure. So third is blood vessel length. Vascular resistance is directly proportional to the length of blood vessel. The longer blood vessel, the greater the resistance. In obese people often have elevated blood pressure because the additional blood vessel in their adipose tissue which increase the total blood vessel length and result in increased vascular resistance and ultimately increase the blood pressure. So in summary, blood pressure is directly proportional to the blood volume, vascular resistance, blood viscosity and blood vessel length. When in case of size of lumen, it is the inversely proportional. The next parameter is the cardiac output. So first of all, what is cardiac output? Cardiac output is the amount of blood pumped by heart per minute or amount of work performed by heart in response to metabolic need of oxygen. So amount of blood pumped by heart is as per metabolic need of body. If body require more amount of blood, then heart increase cardiac output. But if body require less amount of oxygen, particularly during the rest period, then heart decrease cardiac output. Cardiac output is the product of heart rate, the number of heartbeat per minute, and stroke volume, the volume of blood ejected by ventricle per contraction. So, heart modulating cardiac output by altering heart rate and stroke volume. In typical resting adult male, average systolic volume is the 70 ml per beat, where heart rate is the 75 beat per minute. If we multiply 75 into 70, then it is equal to 5250. So approximately 5.2 liter. So normal cardiac output under the resting condition is 4 to 6 liter per minute. Cardiovascular disease is often associated with the change in cardiac output. Increased cardiac output can be associated with the cardiovascular disease can occur during the sepsis and infection, where in case of the decreased cardiac output can be associated with the cardiac myopathy and heart failure. So the next is, what are the important determinant of cardiac output? There are two determinant. First one is the heart rate and stroke volume. So let's understand what is the role of heart rate and what is the role of stroke volume in cardiac output. So the first one is the heart rate. Heart rate is defined as the number of time the heart beat in 1 minute. The faster heart rate, the more blood can pump over the particular period of time. Heart rate is determined by speed of signal generating by SA node as well as speed of signal propagation by conducting fiber. For an adult, the normal heart rate will be in a range of 60 to 100 beat per minute. If the resting heart rate drop below the 60 beat per minute, then the condition is known as bradycardia. If the resting heart rate is about 100 beat per minute, then the condition is known as tachycardia. So the next, the agent which alter the heart rate is known as chronotropic agent. The agent which increase the heart rate are known as positive chronotropic agent, and the agent which decrease the heart rate is called as negative chronotropic agent. The second determinant of cardiac output is the stroke volume. So what is stroke volume? Stroke volume is the amount of blood eject from the heart with each ventricular contraction. It is measured by echocardiogram. Stroke volume is the difference between the end diastolic volume and end systolic volume. So what is end diastolic volume? End diastolic volume is the volume of blood which remain in ventricle after ventricular diastole, which is normally 130 ml. Where in case of the end systolic volume is the volume of blood remain in the ventricles after ventricular diastole, which is approximately 60 ml. So the stroke volume is 130 minus 60, so approximately 70 ml. There are three factors which regulate the stroke volume is preload, contractility and afterload. So what is preload? It is the degree of stretching of heart or ventricle before it contract. Contractility means the force of contraction, and afterload the pressure required to eject the blood from the ventricle. So these three factors which normally regulate the stroke volume. Let's discuss these three factors one by one. So the first factor is the preload. So preload is the degree of cardiac myocyte stretching prior to its contraction. A greater preload or stretch on cardiac muscle fiber prior to contraction, it increases the force of contraction. Preload can be compared with the stretching of rubber band. The more rubber band is stretched, the more forcefully it will snap back. So the more heart fill with the blood during diastole, the greater stretching, resulting greater the force of contraction. This relationship is known as Frank-Starling law of heart. The preload is proportional to the end diastolic volume. The greater the end diastolic volume, the more forceful the next contraction. Two factors which determine the end diastolic volume are duration of ventricular diastole and venous return. Let's take first, when the heart rate is increased, the duration of diastole is shorter. It means less filling time and smaller end diastolic volume, and result in ventricle may contract before they are adequately filled. By contrast, when venous return is increased, a greater volume of blood flow into the ventricles and diastolic volume is increased. Result the preload and ultimately stroke volume is increased. So in summary, venous return is directly proportional to the preload and ultimately stroke volume. If venous return is high, preload is increased and result in stroke volume will increase. Let's understand with the help of this example. So in this you can see that first blood fill in the arteria Then after it pass into the ventricle. As the blood fill into the ventricle, ventricular muscle is stretched. As it stretch, it generates the force, and because of that force, a ventricular contract and blood is eject into the arteries. Take the second example where ventricular filling is increased. So in this example, ventricular filling is increased because of increase of venous return, which result in greater stretch and greater contraction, and which increase the stroke volume and cardiac output. The next parameter is the myocardial contractility. After preload, the second factor regulates the stroke volume is the myocardium contractility. It represents the ability of myocardium to contract. The contraction results from binding between actin and myosin. It depends upon concentration of calcium ion in the myocardium. Substance that alter the contractility known as ionotropic agent. Those who increase the contractility are known as positive ionotropic agent, and those who decrease the contractility are known as negative ionotropic agent. Stimulation of sympathetic nervous system, hormone such as epinephrine and norepinephrine, and drug like a digitalis all increase the contractility, all have positive ionotropic effect. Where inhibition of sympathetic nervous system, anoxia, acidosis, some anesthetic agent, some calcium channel blocker, beta blocker have negative ionotropic effect. So stroke volume is directly proportional with the contractility. If contractility increase, stroke volume is increased. Next, so the third factor that regulates the stroke volume is the afterload. Afterload is the pressure ventricles should generate to eject blood from the heart. The third factor which regulates the stroke volume is the afterload. Afterload is the pressure ventricles should generate to eject the blood from the heart. For ejection of blood from the ventricle, to artery, aortic valve and pulmonary valve need to open. This valve open when the pressure in ventricle higher than the pressure in artery. The pressure in artery is known as diastolic blood pressure. If ventricular pressure is higher than diastolic blood pressure, then both the valve open and blood eject into the respective artery. So here the pressure open the valve is diastolic blood pressure. The diastolic blood pressure is mainly measured by vascular resistance. The afterload is the function of total peripheral resistance. Any condition which increase the peripheral resistance will increase the diastolic blood pressure and ultimately increase the afterload. So we can say that afterload is directly proportional with the vascular resistance. We cannot measure the total peripheral resistance, so diastolic blood pressure is the clinical index of afterload. Let's take this with the help of some example. So this is the first condition in which the diastolic blood pressure is 80 mmHg. So now to eject the blood from the ventricle into the artery, ventricle generate the pressure for at least 81. As the pressure is 81, both the valve is open and it eject the blood. Where in case of the second condition, due to the hypertension or due to the vasoconstriction, the diastolic blood pressure is increased, or in place of the 80, suppose here the 90. So in this case, the minimum pressure ventricle require to open the valve is the 91 mmHg, because here the diastolic blood pressure is 90 mmHg. As the ventricular pressure is 91 mmHg, the valve is open and it ejects the blood. So we can say that if the total peripheral resistance is increased, it increases the afterload. So summary of hemodynamic parameter. Two important hemodynamic parameters are the first one is blood pressure. So blood pressure is mainly depend on to the total peripheral resistance or blood volume, or we can say that the factor which alter the blood pressure is the total peripheral resistance and blood volume. If any condition will increase the total peripheral resistance, will increase the blood pressure. or any condition which increase the blood volume will increase the blood pressure. Simply we can say that vasodilation result in decreased total peripheral resistance and decreased blood pressure. Where in case of the vasoconstriction, increase the total peripheral resistance and will result in increase the blood pressure. The second parameter is the cardiac output. So cardiac output is mainly depend on to the heart rate and stroke volume. Heart rate is mainly controlled by the autonomic nervous system, where in case of the stroke volume is regulated by the preload, afterload and contractility. If any condition which increase the heart rate such as exercise or any condition which increase the stroke volume will result in increase the cardiac output. Okay, thank you. If you have any question, then you can find me at patelchirag17787 @gmail.com. Thank you very much.